mind.
Right.
Imagine that you could have one wish that could be immediately fulfilled. What would it be?
Now let's go to another one.
Tired of typing tons of notes during class? There's finally a better way. It's called Otter.
Rapid tissue regeneration. So, you're chopping vegetables for dinner and accidentally nick your finger. But instead of reaching for a Band-Aid, you watch in amazement as the cut closes up faster than you can say, "What the hell?" Well, this is because you have rapid tissue regeneration, which is like having Wolverine's healing factor, minus the adamantium claws and brooding personality. The body can repair or replace damaged tissues at an accelerated rate. It's as if your cells decided to take a crash course in speed healing and graduated with flying colors. In nature, we see some pretty impressive examples of regeneration, like the axolotl, a little salamander that can regrow entire limbs like it's no big deal. So you're basically the lizard equivalent of saying, "Oh, I lost an arm? No worries, I'll just grow a new one, bub." While humans can't regrow limbs yet, we do have some pretty impressive healing abilities. Our liver, for example, can regenerate itself even if up to 75% of it is removed. Hypermobility. It's been 6 weeks since you went on America's Got Talent to show off your skills. And while you didn't win the prize or anything, you gathered a massive following on YouTube because of your insanely amazing ability to twist and bend your joints and bones as if they were made out of jelly. This weird condition happens because you have hypermobility, which means you are the human equivalent of a rubber band. You can even stretch to points that would break a rubber band. You're like the real-life Elastic Girl, minus the beautiful bodysuit. If you have hypermobility, it would mean that your ligaments and tendons are like overcooked spaghetti, floppy and loose, and they can literally turn like a Ferris wheel. You'd be able to do things regular people can't do with their bodies, like touch your nose with your toes, or bend your thumb back to touch your wrist or your elbow. Now, this might sound like the dream superpower of every ballerina, gymnast, or yoga instructor, but hypermobility can be a double-edged sword. You'd be prone to constant muscle and joint dislocation because you're basically spending your whole day twisting and turning your bones like jelly. Insensitivity to temperature. It's a scorching 40 degrees outside, and everyone is outside with their tank tops and bottles of water complaining of a heat wave. Yet you're casually strolling around in long sleeves with a thick hooded sweater and joggers. Crazy enough, you're not sweating at all, and even though people are looking at you crazily, you literally cannot feel the heat they keep talking about. Unknown to you, you have a congenital insensitivity to temperature. It's a rare condition where your body's thermostat decides to quit its job and go on an eternal vacation, making your body forget the difference between hot and cold. You could literally be. Imagine you're going down the street, minding your business, when suddenly your nose goes into overdrive. It's like your nose got a superpower upgrade, and suddenly you've gone from an ordinary. Midterm tests are coming up, and while everyone in the class is stressing about studying and all, you are busy sleeping, playing on your phone, and watching TikTok videos of cats. The reason why you're so chill is because you literally have a superpower and can know every single sentence and word in your huge biology textbook within 24 hours. This is because you have a condition known as eidetic memory, which is basically like having Google Street View in your head, but for every moment of your life. It's as if your brain took photographic memory to
the four viewers dropping through. Hey.
Literally, and decided to become the world's most detailed, walking, talking scrapbook. The minute you lay your eyes on something, your brain would go click, and just like that, it's saved in your memory forever.
All right, so what we doing right now, we just looking at some of the videos that I had on here that we done watched throughout the time of me hosting this show. Let's get another one in here. That one was about like superpowers or whatever. Let's get another one. What is the definition of health? Okay. Hey, y'all might like this one, the flow state. Let's see. Nah, I can't watch Ted Ed. I don't want to watch Ted Ed. Let's get one fun, man. Oh my gosh!
Second half. Third quarter.
Oh no, that one, that's why I saved this. That's why I saved this, because my man's hitting the backboard right there was like, oh. I'm not rewinding it, by the way. Jeez.
God. Oh my God.
Now that one was crazy.
To check out the book.
Hold up.
And
Okay, I can't even go back to it. Let's watch this after school. Hey, what's up, Stacy? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man. Sorry, had to eat me something. Last couple bites. All right, y'all back here again for another Tech Tuesday. Get you some good wisdom, some good information from Expansion Pack. Yeah, hey, oh, so you was waiting for me to talk. All right, cool. You know I got you, Stacy. You know we in here. All right, so our topic for today is correcting the error. We just talking about correcting the error. You know, on Tech Tuesdays, we give you something technology-based, just to keep you current on what's going on. You may live in a rural area. You may have a phone, but you not know, just anything like that. So Tech Tuesdays is for that. Hold on. Oh, that was good eats. All right, so let's get some motivation. Let me get y'all started for today. All right, I think I got to fix my box. Oh, of course. We're going to stay positive here on Expansion Pack. All right, here we go. Let's get it. So today's motivation is going to be just motivation for the day. Tomorrow, of course, is motivation for my women out there. So always, come back, my ladies, and you know what I'm saying? Get y'all motivation on Wednesdays. All right, here we go. Hey, hold on. Happy early birthday, Stacy. Definitely happy early birthday. I'm gonna make sure I drop by your page. Let me put it in my phone. I'm gonna drop by your page and speak to you, just in case we don't see each other. You know what I'm saying? I'll definitely drop through. All right, here we go. Hold on, which one am I hiding this from? I'm trying to get the motivation on the screen for y'all. Sorry. Here we go. All right, here we go.
A wise person once told,
stop by. I'm putting it in my calendar now.
dreams don't work unless you do.
We try so hard in our lives to fit in. We try to fit into certain groups, certain frats, certain sororities, among certain friends. Yet the people we idolize are the ones that stand out. But when you're prepared, there is no fear. There is no fear of failure. Because even if you've walked out of something and you feel like you failed at it, your preparation is so strong that you're gonna take that failure and turn it into the outcome you desire. And most people stop at failure, okay? We've all failed at things. I'm gonna continue to fail at stuff, right? It's the most powerful tool you can use, but it all depends on how you use it.
What would your future be like if you decided to want that which you desire so strongly that it prepares you past your fears, that you experience the fear, as the one book says, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Life is 10% what happens to you, it's 90% what you do about it. No matter who you are, no matter where you are in life, you can take the lid off of your job. And if you're wondering if you still have the lid on in your life, here are some clues that's gonna let you know that the lid is still on. If you're not excited about waking up in the morning, if you're sitting around bored out of your mind, if you got time to do everything anybody asks you to do, you probably got the lid on. If when you tell your dreams to all your friends, it makes sense to them, you got your lid on, man. Your dreams should not make sense to everybody. You got to say something that make people go, how you gonna do that? That's when you got the lid off. And if I were you, I'd do that. I'd take the lid off. Makes sense to me, don't it?
They're always going to get ready to get set to get going. What we've got to do is, boom, just like that, move into action.
Every time you remember your dream, you're removing some dirt. You're digging it back out. The true mark of a champion is even though some dirt gets thrown on your dream, instead of letting it get buried, you keep shaking it off. You keep moving forward. You keep looking for new opportunities. You wouldn't be having that opposition if you didn't have something great in you. If your dream wasn't alive and on track, right on schedule to come to pass, you wouldn't have so many things coming against you. That dream is still alive.
Yes, sir.
You may have tried a year ago, 5 years ago, or 40 years ago. Didn't work out. Nobody was there to help you. Go back and try again. This is your time. This is your moment.
Yes, sir.
Your destiny is calling out to you. Can I tell you, your dream is not dead. It's just not in season. Your time is coming. Promotion is coming. Good breaks are coming. Promises you've been standing on. Dreams you've been praying about. Lack is not your destiny. Constantly struggling, barely getting by is not the end of your story. These light afflictions are for a moment. The adversity is temporary. The glory is eternal. Lord, I believe this is my year to get healthy.
Hey, Kawaya.
This is my year to meet the people of my dreams.
Amen to you.
This is my year to go further in my career, to step into a new level of my destiny.
We just getting our motivation.
This is my year to accomplish dreams, to break free from this depression. This is my year to meet the right people. This is my year to get healthy and whole. This is your year to see double. This is your year for vindication, for restoration, for new beginnings. Now get your mind going in the right direction.
Yes, sir. I hope y'all ready.
Slack.
All right, so that's our motivation for today. I hope y'all got a nice little bit of a charge up for this hour. We only 7 minutes in, so let's just go ahead and get it started right now. So, like I said, our topic for today is correcting the error. So, generally, when you think of error, you think of like math problems or misspelled words, stuff like that. Well, let's see tech errors. Correcting errors in tech. Let's see what we got. Ooh, hold on. Biggest errors in tech history. There you go. Now that's gonna be good. All right, history's worst software error. State-of-the-art radiation therapy device. Okay, I don't want to see. Oh my gosh. All right, this one is easy.
From rejecting Bell's phone patent to turning down Google, here are 10 such mistakes in tech history. Number 1. Apple's third co-founder Ron Wayne lost out big time. The lesser-known Wayne sold his complete stake of 10% for just $1,500 in 1976.
Jeez.
Those shares today are almost worth $50 billion. Number 2. Microsoft actually saved Apple in 1997 when the company was in bad shape. Bill Gates bailed out Apple with a worth $150 million, which potentially saved the company in exchange for certain promises. If it was not for Gates, we wonder what type of phones we would be using today. Number 3. Believe it or not, Western Union actually rejected the patent offer from Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. Eventually, this led to the formation of the Bell Telephone Company, which was later acquired by AT&T. Number 4. A local DVD rental company Blockbuster turned down the offer of Netflix for $50 million in 2000. They used to run a company that would sell and rent DVDs by post. Today, Netflix has made the DVD obsolete. Number 5. If this deal was finalized, we would not know what Google is today. In the early days, Yahoo was the hottest website on the internet. Yahoo was in repeated talks to acquire Google, but never managed to finalize the deal. Today Google is more than $500 billion while Yahoo stands at just $35 billion. Number 6.
35?
This one was known as the biggest mistake in history. $350 billion worth AOL and Time Warner split ways in 2009. Number 7. Unclear whether Steve Jobs left Apple or was pushed out in 1985, but this departure was the start of a run under John Sculley that brought Apple down to its knees in the 1990s. Number 8. Kodak would have been the first to launch a digital camera. However, the idea was turned down by the management, who laughed at the engineer who presented filmless camera to the executives way back in 1975. Sadly, in 2012, Kodak declared bankruptcy after failing to adopt the idea and go digital. Number 9. Many old-timers would remember Real Networks. It was the company which originally turned down the idea of a personal music player. The personal music player, the iPod, was the original idea of Tony Fadell, who later went on to Apple. Number 10. Nintendo would have been a big name in the game console market if it had not turned down Sony in its early days. Sony and Nintendo were working together on a modification for the SNES, but proceeded with Philips to work on CDI.
Right.
If you like the information, then share it with your friends and family. And also subscribe to...
Okay, I didn't like the voice, but the info was good. So let's look at some more real quick, see if we can get something else without that crazy voice. I don't want to see just one. Alright, here we go. Come on, Watch Mojo. Give me a little taste, a little something.
Big
You know what I'm
ideas.
saying?
It was billed as the deal of the century. Now it may be remembered as the steal of the century.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 most expensive mistakes in history.
This, I gotta say.
For this list, we're looking at some of the costliest, most infamous errors in history. Let us know which you think was the most embarrassing in the comments. Number 10. Heavy submarines. Maybe they are designed to reach astonishing depths, but that's no good if your submarine is incapable of surfacing again. That's exactly what happened to the doomed Isaac Perel class of Spanish submarine, when designers realized that somebody at some point had carelessly left a decimal point in the wrong place.
Damn.
The sub was 100 tons heavier than it should be, meaning that if submerged, it would never be able to return to the surface. Thankfully, the sub hadn't yet been built, so the schematics were changed to make it longer and capable of supporting all of that extra weight. Except there was another problem. The sub was now too large to fit into the port where it was being constructed.
Everyone knows you need a lawyer after a car accident and injury. But what if I told you there's a better way? One that gets you...
Number 9. New Coke. In 1985, about a century after Coca-Cola first hit shelves, Coke decided to mix things up and rework the tried and tested Coke formula.
New edition.
Come on, check it out now. It's got a new taste. It's a definite wow.
The result was New Coke, one of the biggest marketing fails and disasters of all time. The simple fact was that nobody really liked New Coke. Coke wanted to make its drink taste more like Pepsi, which is a little sweeter than Coke, and it was a resounding failure.
All the taste tests said people preferred the taste of this new product to the century-old product. What they hadn't factored in was the huge emotional attachment there was to this brand.
Though we understood trying to corner Pepsi's share of the market, consumer capitalism is about choice. Nobody wants to choose from two identical colas. There was just no reason for Coke to try and destroy its own business by changing the recipe.
Right.
Number 8. Ronald Wayne sells out.
You know that when people hear your story, they say to themselves, my gosh, $22 billion. He could have
Hey,
had.
what's good, Nia?
What can I say?
Hindsight is 20/20, which is why this error stings so much. Back in '76, businessman Ronald Wayne met Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, and initially thought they had something with their fledgling computer company. Wayne went in with a 10% stake in Apple, but it wasn't to last. Less than 2 weeks on, he'd lost faith, selling those shares back to the company's founders.
If I had stayed with Apple, I probably would have wound up the richest man in the cemetery.
As we all know, Apple went on to become one of the biggest companies and electronic manufacturers in the world, with over 1 billion active iPhones as of 2021. What we wouldn't give for a time machine to the 70s so that we could invest in the Apple shares that Ron Wayne gave up.
I knew exactly what would have been if I'd have stayed with the company. I would have wound up heading a very large documentation department at the back of the building, shuffling papers for the next 20 years of my life, and that was not the future that I saw for myself.
This is Pod 5.
Funny
the
he
first
says
fully
that.
immersive sleep system.
That's my
Intelligent.
Number 7. Wrong trains. We've seen submarines too big for their ports, but what about trains too wide for their platforms? That's what happened in France in 2014, when France's national rail company, SNCF, put in an order for 2,000 brand new trains. The trains would fit in many big metropolitan stations like Paris's newer infrastructure, but in rural France, the platforms were too narrow.
Dang.
This all happened because somebody at the French rail network gave SNCF the wrong measurements.
The reason that they've got this problem is because RFF, which is the rail network operator, had measured platforms and stations that were built about 30 years ago, and the access between the platforms looked about right.
SNCF was left trying to secretly widen the affected stations, but eventually the error was made public. The trains themselves cost around $20 billion, and modifying the platforms has cost over $60 million.
Investors are indignant about the mistake. We refuse to pay a single cent for these repairs, said this spokesperson.
Right.
We can't be taken for fools and pay for the privilege.
Number 6. Quaker buys Snapple. In the early 90s, Snapple was only on the up. It had a few high-profile ad campaigns that meant it was able to hold its own in the competitive world of juice and soft drinks, making it look like a promising investment opportunity for Quaker Oats.
Quaker Oats doesn't come with prizes, but there's something in this box that I think is really worth prizing.
Unfortunately, things didn't go to plan. Though Quaker Oats spent $1.7 billion on a deal it thought was a sure thing, after only 3 years, Snapple was sold off again, so that Quaker Oats could lick its wounds for a meager $300 million.
I can't lie to you. This is interesting. Excuse me. This is interesting to me because when I look at all of these products, I don't look at them and say, oh, you know, yeah. I say, yo, I drank that. I ate that. I actually needed that to survive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've rode trains in Germany. It's not France, but you get what I'm saying? Like, we were part of all of this tech. We're still a part of all of this tech. And let's say 25 years from now, 2050, Lord willing, we still there. We'll see how this tech that we using now transformed our days from what they were to what they are.
Iced tea to pass the time, but remember, nothing takes the place of a good education.
Perhaps a little embarrassingly, Snapple is still going strong. It seems that separating was the best thing for both of these brands.
Snapple, made from the best stuff on earth.
Number 5. Star Wars Billions. In the mid-1970s, nobody knew that Star Wars was going to become one of the biggest pop culture properties in history.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Production was expensive and difficult and ran George Lucas into the ground. Not seeing its potential, 20th Century Fox made a deal with Lucas that he'd receive the royalties from merchandise sales. What followed set a new standard for merchandisable franchises, giving Lucas a personal fortune to the tune of billions of dollars. It was a grave error on the part of Fox and saw the studio miss out on an absolutely obscene amount of money in the decades between Star Wars release in the theaters and Lucasfilms being acquired by Disney.
You have lost.
No. 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 You must die.
You thought C++ was just C with classes?
Number 4. Russia sells Alaska.
It's quite cold up there. Let's not be over enthusiastic about it.
It's easy to look at a map of North America and wonder why Alaska, isolated as it is on Canada's western coast and completely separate from the U.S. mainland, is one of the United States. But it's been that way since the 1860s, when the territory, then controlled by the Russian Empire, was sold by Tsar Alexander II to America for the low price of $7.2 million.
I didn't know.
He found a buyer in U.S. Secretary of State William Seward, who agreed to purchase it sight unseen. On October 18, 1867, here in Sitka, Alaska was officially transferred to the United States.
Today, that's over $130 million, which is still a paltry sum when you consider how large and valuable Alaska is, what with its many oil fields.
You can ask the thousands of roustabouts, roughnecks, and oil workers.
Doc, $100 million for Alaska. We grinding out here. I'm every day. Every day I'm grinding trying to get that $100 million. That's like when Nami was trying to get them berries up to buy the island, Kokyosho Island. Hey, we need $100 million for Alaska right now. You got it. Hey, let me need that.
Why they come to this frozen patch far above the Arctic Circle to make a living? But the answer is simple and one word: money.
The reason the territory was sold was to recoup losses from the Crimean War, and because Russia doubted it would be able to defend Alaska from invasion anyway. Number 3. AOL buys Time Warner.
What you will come to know, as we know instinctively, that there is a natural fit between these two companies.
In the year 2000, the dot-com bubble was at its height, and it didn't look like anything would slow down the meteoric rise of the internet.
Well, pretty clearly, you know, if you looked at last Friday, the market cap of AOL was twice the size of Time Warner. I've made a judgment, which I believe to be correct, that going forward, the Time Warner shareholders will be much better off owning 45% of AOL Time Warner than 100% of Time Warner.
Ultimately, the internet's development didn't slow down, but the stock market did, leading to a recession. One of the biggest casualties was the merger of AOL and Time Warner in 2000, which even at the time was viewed by many as being a ridiculous idea.
But things didn't turn out as planned.
Why?
From the very beginning, the merged company failed to live up to its lofty financial expectations. To make matters worse, technology stocks that had been thriving in the 90s suddenly fell off a cliff with the burst of the internet bubble.
AOL spent a whopping $182 billion on merging with Time Warner, but years on, the companies split again. Today, Time Warner remains a major player in the media business, and while AOL still exists, it's dead in the water. How the tables turned.
Is that the biggest regret of your life?
What?
Having all your having all your money tied up in Time Warner.
No, I would have liked to see that merger not happen.
Roku Ads Manager puts Roku's reach within your reach.
You know,
sign up at
after this ad, I'm gonna say something again.
So you did the thing, or maybe you're thinking
Matter of fact, while this ad is running, let me skip the ad and pause it. So, not saying I can't, not saying I couldn't, not saying you won't or shouldn't. But we got to get in here on some of these money deals, baby. These people making big money deals, baby. We need to get in here on some of these deals, baby. I'm trying to tell you now. Most of the time, Monday through Friday, I sit in here on Expansion Pack listening to people talk about things that maybe that some people who watch my show ain't even heard of or even taken part in. And it's going on every single day. Like these big money deals, baby. Like, listen. All we can think about is all that's being proposed to us is jobs and work. Big money deals, baby. You understand? Let me stop playing.
The basis of a blockbuster. Number 2, Apollo 13.
Houston, we have a problem.
The basis of a blockbuster movie starring Tom Hanks, Apollo 13 was destined for the moon in 1970, but it never made it.
It was plagued by bad omens and bad luck from the very beginning.
Thankfully, unlike many other space failures, like the high-profile Challenger and Columbia disasters in 1986 and 2003, respectively, the astronauts in Apollo 13 all survived. The problem, 2003, respectively, the astronauts in Apollo Columbia disasters in 1986 and 2003, respectively, the astronauts in Apollo 13 all survived. The problem was that an oxygen tank had been damaged long before its installation in the spacecraft, which was described as a bomb by Commander Jim Lovell.
I looked at my companions and I said, you know, every flight has a crisis. Something always goes wrong. This happened early in the flight, and we're now free and clear of any other things going wrong.
That bomb went off, severely damaging the craft when it was already in space. The crew had to move into the lunar module so they would survive, and then loop around the moon to return to Earth. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few dishonorable mentions. Morgan Stanley's losses. Broker Howie Hubler lost billions of dollars speculating on mortgages in the 2000s. Lost Bitcoin. James Howell accidentally threw out a hard drive with $480 million in Bitcoin on it.
You know, you've never thrown a hard drive out before. Why start now? You shouldn't do this sort of thing. You know, a little demon in the back of my head sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I didn't take it out. It stayed in the bin.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to settings and switch on.
This was a good video.
On notifications.
Number 1, Chernobyl.
The chain of disaster is now complete.
In 1986, the biggest nuclear disaster on record was triggered. The Soviet Union was initially extremely secretive about what had happened, with many downplaying the severity of the meltdown even when nuclear fallout spread as far west as Germany.
Are we now to assume you do not have the situation under control? No, we do. I do. Radiation is within normal limits.
But eventually the truth came out, and it was revealed that a slew of errors was to blame for Chernobyl, making it an entirely avoidable tragedy.
Damn.
It was the human error of the unprepared shift workers, combined with a fatal design flaw that was known about but not fixed. The problem was that the control rods, made of boron, had graphite tips, and the graphite reacted with the core to cause the explosion.
The boron rods were in fact tipped with graphite, and that short moment when they are first inserted into the reactor, the graphite in fact leads to a surge in the power, not a reduction of power.
Right.
Without the cheap graphite, the disaster wouldn't have happened.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this up.
So, I usually don't watch the whole videos lately. I ain't been watching the whole videos, but these was good. These were real good because we get to see what they spending money on just to mess up. And I first want to state this. Let me build it like this. We have people working together. That's the only way that you can have any of this stuff happen. It's not one man lifting them train cars and fixing the train station so that the train cars can fit in there. It's not one man writing the Star Wars movie and, making all the merchandise and then selling it himself and keeping all the money. No, it's teams of people doing these things. Teams of people doing these things. Large teams of people doing these things. And my main point in saying that is that we need each other. Plain and simple. We need each other. You can try to remain an island, but no man is an island. That's first and foremost. Now, second of all, with all of these, the reason why I watch them is because you can relate in some way, somehow, to just having something that's like messed up in you. It could be your life, but we talk about like technology that's like messed up. Like, I know me, when I get on here sometimes, I'm ready to go, set up, everything good, and then it'll just crash. So that right there, everybody can relate to that. Now, like I said, the first aspect, the only reason why people are able to make these big ventures and make mistakes at them at that is because they're sticking together. I could not imagine making $100 million merger. Company merger. Corporation merger. I don't know. Anyway, let's see something small. Top glitches in iPhones. Let's see. Let's see what y'all iPhones be doing. Alright, we seen that. Ooh, let's go. Let's check this out.
Want to get rid of this visceral fat? Check this out.
This is how to get in shape fast.
What is?
I mean, Picasso had a saying. He said, "Good artists copy, great artists steal." I've been shameless about stealing great ideas.
Now here's a video I've been wanting to make for a while. Let's go all the way back in time, before we had those massive phones, fancy displays, and all those crazy features in phones. Let's take it back to the basics, the originals. What started it all? This is the first Android phone ever versus the first and original iPhone. Also on their respective original firmwares. So I've got Android 1.0 preloaded and iPhone OS 1.0. As a little challenge, let's see which one was better at the time, which one was more advanced, and in what ways. Who copied who? Let's just get a sense of what started it all. That's exactly what I want this video to accomplish. Now, Steve Jobs was pretty shameless, lawsuits and more lawsuits, so it's a bit ironic, but we can definitely tell that both of these phones have a very similar appearance. A massive display that dominates the front of the phone. So this is actually a little bit funny because in terms of specs, just raw specs, the iPhone in some areas outdoes the Android phone. Nowadays, that's very rare to see that in most areas, but the iPhone actually had the larger display. It's funny for me to say that. 3.5 inches at 480 by 320 resolution. So that means the Google G1, which has the same resolution, is a little bit sharper with a 3.2 inch display, but I gotta say the iPhone is definitely the clear winner here. It blends seamlessly with the front of the phone. It's a cleaner look, whereas you can't see there's for the iPhone copied Apple in terms of hardware. It's just night and day difference here. The iPhone is almost this dream phone, can't make up its mind what it wants to do very well in the Geekbench score. This one just got 82, so a very, very good job on the iPhone's part, even though it had weaker specs. And that's still the case for the iPhone today. And believe it or not, Android actually sucked on battery life back in the day. 1150 milliamps versus 1400, and the iPhone with its optimization did better. So definitely a win for the iPhone.
All right, whatever. Let me see. Come on.
What's up everyone, this is All I Talk is Tech, and today I'm going to be showing you my top iOS 12 glitches that I think you guys would enjoy. So without further ado, let's get started. So this first one takes place in Accessibilities under General in Setting. Now once you do that, go ahead and tap on Reduce Motion, and this is a really interesting glitch. So when you turn it on, go to the home screen and then swipe down from the notification center, and you'll see that the notification center is transparent along with the lock screen. And I think it's got a really cool look to it. I think this should be a feature, honestly, but I think it's a glitch. But I had Apple Tech Video tried out on iPhone 8 and it didn't work, so make sure you guys try it out as well. Also, I noticed if you pull down the notification center in an app, you get a new animation, and it actually looks slightly different from the previous one. It's got like no animation at all, it just brings down the wallpaper. And if you turn it off, you'll just get back the normal animation. So that's what it's supposed to look like, and then you can rewind the video if you want to see the other two, how they compare. Next, it takes place in the notorious widget panel. So what you want to do is go ahead and click on the edit button and the search at the exact same time, swipe down the notification center, and then just tap on the search bar. In the video, I kind of tapped on the edit button, but you don't need to do that for this. And if it doesn't work, then try to tap on the edit button. But you will notice that once you do that, a keyboard will pop up. You want to swipe over and then turn off your iDevice, and then a keyboard will disappear on your home screen once you unlock the device. And then when you turn it off and on again, you'll notice the keyboard is always there on the lock screen, and this will last for days. So the only way to remove this is to just go to the notification center and then go to Siri dictation. But it's also really cool to see that the keyboard actually works on the lock screen. I find that pretty funny. Now, something else I think I mentioned in one of my videos, I don't remember, but if you play music, you will see the night mode version of the media player show up. I don't know if this is a glitch or a feature, but it's pretty inconsistent, so I'm going to assume it's a glitch, but I hope that Apple actually changes the design of these panels on the notification center. Now, this next bug is pretty funny, I think. For a $1 trillion company, Apple should have their spelling correct, but if you tap on options in the clock application, you'll go ahead and see it says when do no disturb during bedtime. It's supposed to say when do not disturb during bedtime is on or something like that, but it has no instead. I think that's funny. Usually you see these on like replica mock-up fake iPhones, and yet Apple has a typo on their own phone. Now, another glitch that's pretty cool / feature, I think, is you can open up a folder and then open up an app. But once you close the app, you can immediately tap out of the folder and you get a faster animation than you did on iOS 11. So you can see I'm going to open up an app, close it, and try to exit as fast as I can, and it's pretty slow. And yeah, I'm going to do the same thing on this device, which is an iPhone 6s, and as soon as I exit, I'm going to tap on the home screen and it's way faster. So I think that's a cool feature / bug. I'm not really sure if it's a bug, but I thought I'd include it just in case. So that is my top list of iOS 12 bugs. I'd say overall pretty solid performance for a beta. Most betas are very laggy and things like that, but these were...
That was okay. Let me see Android. Let me see. Error. In Android phone. Let's see what else we got. Let me see. Iconic smartphone system errors. Let's see.
Okay. Stop forcing ads for your forklifts.
We all love our smartphones because of how useful they are, but there are some things you probably never knew about them despite using them every day. And today we're going to talk about some secret dialer codes you can access by typing them right in the same way you would any other phone number. And these may be referred to in other places as MMI codes or USSD codes or possibly interrogation codes. They have a lot of different names, but in any case, no matter what kind of phone you have, we're going to talk about some codes for you. Now, quickly, before we jump in, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this video, Audible. I'm sure most of you know that Audible has an unmatched codes you can access by typing them MMI codes with any secret dialer codes you can access by typing them right in the same way you would any other phone number. And these may be referred to in other places as MMI codes or USSD codes or possibly interrogation codes. They have a lot of different names, but in any case, no matter what kind of phone you have, we're going to talk about some codes for you. Now, quickly, before we jump in, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this video, Audible. I'm sure most of you know that Audible has an unmatched number of audiobooks you can listen to on multiple devices, including iPhone, Android devices, your laptop, even Amazon Echo, plus the ability to control the listening speed either faster or slower. So it's great for if you're listening while you're exercising or to take an Audible cancel $6.95 of you who have a phone running iOS. And like I mentioned, you'll want to just open up the dialing interface. And the best and most interesting one is probably the so-called field test mode, which can be accessed by entering the following code: *3001 #12345 #*. then hitting call. And this will open a menu with all sorts of technical data about your phone that is probably not very useful to you, but still really cool to see. And one cool thing you can check out is by going to the LTE, then serving cell measure menu, and looking for the thing called RSRP0, which is actually the actual signal strength measured in decibels that your phone is receiving, which will be between probably -40 and -130, where -40 is the best possible. So this is the actual signal strength, not just the number of bars. Pretty cool. Okay, another neat one is *#06#. And this will immediately just show you your IMEI for your phone, which is simply a unique identifier that every phone has. And you can actually find this in the settings, but this makes you way cooler when you do it this way. Another code similar to the last one is *#07# and then hit call, which brings up a menu full of legal and regulatory information. And again, I think this menu is accessible from the settings, but still it's cool to do it this way. Okay, next up, this one is actually pretty interesting, which is *5005*7672#. This will show you the phone number that is associated with your cell carrier and is actually the number that all of your text messages are sent to before being forwarded to the person you actually sent it to. The messages are associated with your 672 5005*7672#. This will show you the phone number that is associated with your cell carrier and is actually the number that all of your text messages are sent to before being forwarded to the person you actually sent it to. So it's utterly useless, but still cool and kind of like a behind the scenes look at how cellular networks operate. Finally, we have a few codes for getting info from your cell carrier. And this one will show you the actual amount of data you've used and have left, not just what your phone tells you. The code will either be *3282# or #3282, depending on what cell carrier you have. When you use this one, you should receive a text a few seconds later with the info telling you about it. Another one is to see your bill balance or to see how much you owe. Again, this one is slightly different. #55# or #225 or #225#. So you can maybe save these numbers as favorites, and then that'll be a way to always get a quick update on your cell usage if you want to keep track of that type of thing. Okay, so that was iOS, and now on to Android OS codes.
Let me see this.
And these operate pretty much the same way as before. You type them right into the dialer. And these ones should work on any phone model regardless of the manufacturer. And fun fact, in the source code for this OS, these are actually referred to literally as secret codes, which is pretty neat, so this video isn't just clickbait after all. First up is one for a testing menu, kind of like the field test menu we talked about before. To get to it, type in *#4636#**#. And here you can see a bunch of detailed info about your phone, including *#4636#**#. And here you can see a bunch of detailed info about your phone, including signal strength, bandwidth, the type of network you're using, all sorts of fun stuff. And there's other menus with usage statistics of D464. To get to it, type in *#4636#**#. And here you can see a bunch of detailed info about your phone, including signal strength. And here you can see a bunch of *#4636#**#. And here you can see a bunch of detailed info about your phone, including signal strength, bandwidth, the type of network you're using, all sorts of fun stuff. And there's other menus with usage statistics and Wi-Fi information. Again, something you can just look through that you might find pretty interesting. Next up, this one is a bit interesting, which is the code *#426#*##. And this brings up an App Store debug menu. I really have no idea what this is used for, but hey, most people don't even know this existed, so now you do, so look how cool you are now. Alright, the next couple we have seen before, and these will also work on this OS as well. So we have the *#06# code, which on my phone at least, not *#06# code, which on my phone at least, not only brings up the IMEI, but also a bunch of other phone identifiers and even barcodes for each one. Pretty neat. Might not be a bad idea to screenshot that and save it if you think you'll ever need that info in the future for whatever reason. Then there's the star pound 07 pound, which also brings up some regular. Then there's the star pound 07 pound, which also.
Let me see, star pound 07 pound.
Also brings up some regulatory labels and legal info, and I think this is all just to kind of prove the phone passed certain certifications and testing to be legally sold or something like that. And hey, would you look at that? It's even valid in India. All right, up next is pretty interesting, and I haven't seen this one mentioned in many other places. I actually found this digging through the source code myself, because if you didn't know, this OS is actually open source, and it lets you access a secret visual voicemail menu. So the code is star pound 8862 66344 pound star. It's kind of a long one. Bear with me. Now, on my phone, there are actually two options in this menu. One is sync, which I'm not working. Now, 344 pound star. It's kind of a long one. 66344 pound star.
That ain't work. Yeah, they done patched all them off. 8862663344. Hold on. 8862663344. Pound star.
It's kind of a long one. Bear with me. Now, on my phone, there are actually two options in this menu. One is sync, which I'm not really sure what it does exactly. And another one, VVM config override. I believe that stands for visual voicemail. And I wouldn't recommend messing with any of these settings, but it still might be cool to kind of just look at. And we have some stuff mentioning technical aspects of voicemail you probably didn't even know about, and I know I did. And I think this is another one that very few people know existed, until now, of course. And I do believe you need to be at least on Android OS version 8 or 9 to use this, though. I don't think it's in earlier versions. But anyway, it's a weird Easter egg feature called pet mode. Now, to activate it, type in star pound 729 pound star, and at the bottom, you'll see the dialer icon change to a picture of a cat and a dog. What this does, which is kind of funny, is now every time you receive a phone call, there will be this animation of a cat or dog paw on the screen, kind of indicating to answer. This bottom,
yeah, they patched that.
729 pound star, and at the bottom, you'll see the dialer icon change to a picture of a cat and a dog. What this does, which is kind of funny, is now every time you receive a phone call, there will be this animation of.
Yeah, they patched all them, my guy. I can't do none of them.
Which I'm not really sure what it does exactly.
I tried them all.
And another one, VVM config override. I believe that stands for visual voicemail. And I wouldn't recommend messing with mentioning. Finally, this is another secret code. 8 pound star. It's kind of a long one. 6.
Let me see. 88626
6344 pound star. It's kind of a long one. Bear with me. Now, on my phone, there are actually two options in this menu. 66344 pound star. It's kind of a long one. Bear with me. Now, on my phone, there are actually two options in this menu. One is sync, which I'm not really sure what it does exactly, and another one, VVM config override. I believe that stands for visual voicemail.
They won't let me
and I wouldn't recommend messing with any of these settings, but it still might be cool to kind of just look at. And we have some stuff mentioning technical aspects of voicemail you probably didn't even know about, and I know I didn't. Okay, finally, this is another secret code that I found myself buried in the source code, and I think this is another one that very few people know. And at the bottom, you'll see the dialer icon change time you receive a phone, kind of indicating to answer your phone, I guess. And I think there are a few variations that might show up, so different cat. It's a joke, but I like it, and you might even want to keep it on. Who knows?
Okay, so none of those worked for my phone. But then again, this video is 6 years old. So if it worked for your phone, hats off to you. But that's another episode. This is another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man. I'm glad we at least got to see a couple of videos, couple of bugs, couple of hacks, couple of things today. Tomorrow, join us. Find Your Way Wednesday. Sure to be even more interesting than today. If today was kind of dry for you, I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead, run off on y'all, get on up out of here for the day. And I'm going to holler at y'all tomorrow on Find Your Way Wednesday. This is another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man. This is DGTA TV. Peace.
I know that if you allow the past to define your present, that you never actually really get to live the life that you were meant to live.
You are responsible for your life. And if you're sitting around waiting on somebody to save you, to fix you, to even help you, you are wasting your time, because only you have the power to take responsibility to move your life forward.
I had failed on an epic scale. An exceptionally short-lived marriage had imploded, and I was jobless, a lone parent, and as poor as it is possible to be in modern Britain without being homeless. The fears that my parents had had for me and that I had had for myself had both come to pass. And by every usual standard, I was the biggest failure I knew. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that failure is fun. That period of my life was a dark one, and for a long time, any light at the end of it was a hope rather than a reality. So why do I talk about the benefits of failure? Simply because failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. Had I really succeeded at anything else, I might never have found the determination to succeed in the one arena where I believed I truly belonged. I was set free. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all. In which case, you fail by default. So given a time turner, I would tell my 21-year-old self that personal happiness lies in knowing that life is not a checklist of acquisition or achievement.
Yes.
Your qualifications, your CV, are not your life, though you will meet many people of my age and older who confuse the two. Life is difficult and complicated and beyond anyone's total control, and the humility to know that will enable you to survive its vicissitudes.
So the question is, what do you believe? Do you believe that you are worthy of happiness? Do you believe that happiness, success, abundance, comfort, fulfillment, peace, joy, love is a part of your birthright? Is that what you believe? Because you will